to Meet the Industry podcast.
We just came to chill and have fun.
And we're back. Welcome to Meet the Industry. I'm your host, Maulik Shah, and today I have a guest on the show. He's been a huge force in driving the electronic music movement in India. I'm talking about Dave Bhatia, the co founder of Unmute Agency, which is based out of Delhi. And he's been an artist manager for 12 years, but it would be unfair to call him just a manager. He's built himself a company that promotes cutting edge music talent. And it is no walk in the park to manage talent and at the same time give them the exposure they need, which is through events and performances. So I don't want to take up any more of your time on this introduction because Dave and I have had a rather lengthy chat about everything and that should speak for itself. So without further ado, let me take you straight to the conversation. Grab a coffee for the next 75 minutes. You're going to want to stay tuned in. Here we go. Hi, Dave. Welcome to Meet the Industry. I'm glad you agreed to do this. It's great to have you on the show.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
So, what's been happening currently? What are you doing?
What am I doing? Wow, I actually had a baby, so that's primarily what I've been doing.
Oh, yeah, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Other than that, I've been trying to do some work, and it's been very difficult. But in any case, I mean, we've some of the artists we work with have been releasing music, so we've been really busy
Right.
with that.
Hmm.
Starting with Asymmetric a few weeks ago, he released his
Right.
debut EP. Last week, Surreal released his latest album,
Yes,
Uh,
Visa on Arrival.
Visa on Arrival, which is currently on the top 10 Apple Music India charts. So,
Yeah, he's a
that's,
great producer.
and in the next few days, by the time this comes out, I think Duelist Inquiry's first EP in a while,
Right.
Lifeforms EP, is going to be out. We're working on a ton of new music. Actually, this year we've taken a step back and
From the shows and all that.
we've taken a step back overall across the agency to kind of go back to
Mhm.
what we used to do best, which is focus on the music. We sort of lost our
Right.
way, I think, in the middle,
Mhm.
in terms of focusing on shows, focusing on the marketing of it.
Right. Right.
And But this year we've taken an active approach to sort of go back to doing what I and what Unmute does best, which is promoting music, focusing, um, you know, putting out
Yeah.
music in the best way possible, and ensuring that the right music reaches the right people. And I mean, music from Indian artists is heard. That's why I started that's why I do what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Currently, there is a lot of music coming out from independent Indian artists.
Yeah.
And so, as an artist manager at Unmute, what kind of a role are you playing for the artist, say from the point where the artist starts to record or write music to the point where they release music and promote it and then take it to tours and live shows and all that?
See,
What is your role in it exactly?
it's completely dependent on each individual artist. I mean, we don't have a set template. It depends on the comfort level each artist has. There are a lot of artists, for example, an artist like Arjun Wagle
Hmm.
does not involve the agency in the creative process.
Okay.
We don't need to
Yeah.
be involved because he has his own set ways and it works for him, and it's
Right.
great, right? Like, I mean,
But do
uh,
you sort of help him create a vision for his album or something as to what kind of audience he wants to cater? Or not just Arjun, but your other artists as well, since you work with diversified
yeah. I'm just
acts.
giving you an example of how we do things. I mean, there are different types of artists. Like I said,
Hmm.
some artists would prefer us to just work on the marketing of it and plan the
Right.
shows around the music releases, or
Right.
plan the tie-ups, etc. But there are
Right.
some artists who we work with very closely. For example, Surreal and Duelist Inquiry, who we for and even now Sick Flip, who we
Right.
sort of like help with collaboration. So if they want to collaborate
Right.
with XYZ kind of artists, we find those collaborators. We
Right.
get those
So
collaborators.
on behalf of Sick Flip, you will get in touch with certain artists that you think will be good for
Exactly.
a collab.
exactly. So, putting it in a nutshell, I mean, as an agency, we're involved in everything. So that could be setting up collaborators, setting up the PR machinery behind the release, even ensuring that the quality with certain artists. We even work on the A&R aspect of it, the quality wise.
Right.
We were
I was
involved full.
actually just about to, sorry to cut you off. I was just about to say that the kind of things that you're describing,
Yeah,
they are sort of similar to what a record label does for their artists.
exactly. But we're just not. We're not a record label. That's the only
Right.
difference.
Yeah,
Uh,
because also the landscape for record labels is changing right now.
I mean,
Uh,
we'd like to do what we specialize in, right? Like, if everyone
hmm.
tries to do everything, then this industry is going to go to shit. So, we'd rather focus on what we do. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of that happen in the electronic music industry, where a
Uh-huh.
lot of people who are not um, uh, sort of who are not specialized to do certain things want to do those things,
Right.
and it's sort of like messing the whole landscape of things.
Hmm.
And it might work for some, might not work for some. But for me, I sort of come from a very I don't want to say old school. I
Hmm.
sound like an uncle, but a very sort of traditional yet modern approach.
Traditional. Right, right. Like the principles and everything from the traditional thing, but also looking at the new modern trends that are coming up. You're merging both of them and seeing.
Absolutely. I mean, eventually, if you got the foundation right, then
Yeah,
you can adapt with you can adapt with the modern industry and succeed. But if your
right.
foundations are not right and you just want to go with the modern approach without any basis, then I think
Yeah,
that's pretty messy. So yeah. Anyway, going
right,
back to your question, so it could be things like setting collaborations, doing the PR machinery, finding sponsors,
right,
including organizing photo shoots. We do all the dirty work basically,
right,
organizing tours, uh, some fun sort of marketing ideas, even as small as like stickers. I don't know, merchandise.
right.
So we were involved in all of it, but it
Hmm.
totally depends on artist to artist. For certain artists, we even do the deals with labels.
Okay,
But certain artists will do it on their own, and then we do the rest.
right.
For certain artists, we'll be sorting their publishing out. So there's all sorts of things, but it totally depends
Hmm.
on artist to artist and what they require from us.
Right. Uh, can you tell me, so like since you mentioned that you are taking care of a lot of aspects, and depending on the artist, you do certain things for them, and then for another artist, you do a lot of other things. So sometimes there is a difference between you being a personal manager and you being a business manager, right?
Hmm.
So can you sort of separate the two for us and show how a personal manager goes about dealing with the artist, and what are the business side of things that you may handle for your artists?
Uh, the thing is, I mean, like in the Indian industry, currently the lines are all blurred, so there is no dedicated
Hmm.
personal manager unless you're a
Right,
Bollywood artist or one of those. But at least in the
right,
independent
right.
music scene, as much as I know of, there are no personal managers, and there's no definition between a personal manager and a business manager.
Hmm.
Uh, we have to do everything. I mean, there are times
Right,
when we are even like, even though we're not qualified, but counseling our artists, for example, with personal issues. If someone's going through an issue with their
right,
partner, or someone's
right.
not having a good sort of time generally health wise. So we are friends. Like that's
Correct, correct.
uh, yet we have to keep that aside when we do business. So it's a very fine line we walk. but but
Yeah,
but but
sure.
but we got to be there. I mean, it's a 24-hour job, right? It's not
Yeah,
easy.
you basically have to take care of your artist in whatever way it needs to be done, be it
Exactly.
personal or business or advice, anything.
Exactly. I mean, advice. I mean, we sound like gods, but no, not really advice, but like
No, of
working with
course,
them.
you have seen a lot of things, for at least for newer artists, when they come to you just with their music. You have so much experience dealing with your previous artists and your experience with the industry, that you are going to be in a good position to advise them.
Uh, yes and no, because a lot of new artists have come with really cool new ideas,
Huh.
and I
Okay.
also learn from new artists. So, but I'm
Right.
really lucky that I've been surrounded by a great team. The agents and managers working in Unmute are also like pretty. Been with me
Yeah.
for a long time. Like
Yeah.
everyone who's worked with us has been with us for over 3 years, so which is phenomenal.
Right.
It's sort of stable. artists are comfortable with them. They've also sort of over the years, have had their own way in managing artists, and I try my
Yeah.
best not to enforce my way.
Yeah.
Uh, Yet I still do it a lot of times, but yeah. So in that sense, of course, the experience helps. One has seen things. One has done things when the industry didn't exist.
Yeah.
Uh, and we've sort of laid the foundation for this 12, 15 years ago when things were
Yeah.
starting to brew. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, of course that helps, and we try and like even the idea of one mute was exactly that, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
was managing one artist for a long time, and then I wanted to
Exactly.
use all that experience to sort
I
of
was just about to come to that.
yeah,
There was an interview you did with Bile City where you said that you had found your calling in 2007 as a show producer at Red FM. I think at that point you had just come down from Dubai working at a radio station, and when you came to Delhi, you joined Red FM, and around that point you met Jalebee Cartel.
yeah.
And what's the story like with that? You spent 6 years with Jalebee Cartel, and I think that was your first gig as an artist manager. So, what was the journey like those 6 years with Jalebi? How did it shape you as an artist manager? What was your first day like? And
Those 6 years, I think, shaped me as a person more than as an artist manager. I mean,
right,
when I came to Delhi, I mean, this is a really long story, so I don't want to get into it, but
yeah, yeah,
I'll keep it brief. When I came to Delhi, I joined Red FM, and then I met
right,
Ash Roy,
that's right. Mm,
and he sort of was the one who was my first contact with Jalebi, and I stayed with him for a while, and then he introduced me to the rest of the band.
right,
And when I the first day saw, I mean, he Ash made me listen to uh, music from Jalebee Cartel. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I will do something or I will work as an
right.
artist manager.
Were you exposed to electronic music at that point?
I was always listening to electronic music. So at that time, I was into Prodigy, Chemical Brothers,
Right.
Sasha, uh,
Hmm.
Darude, of course, back in the day, who didn't,
Yeah,
right? Chicane,
of
those kind of
course,
those are the kind of artists I was listening to. A lot of like Trance, Tiesto, and all that. I used to follow all of this.
of course.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, and those were early days. Deep Dish, uh, but Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, those were the two uh,
big influences on you.
big influence. Prodigy more than anything else. That was my introduction to
Yeah,
electronic music.
right.
And yeah, so when I heard Jalebi tracks, like Ash made me listen to tracks these guys had made, and this is
Hmm.
Feb or March 2007.
Hmm.
Uh, I was blown away. Firstly, because hey, five Indian dudes at that time producing electronic music,
Yeah, yeah.
and then the first very week in Delhi, I went to a show,
Hmm.
and I have a poster of that show in my office. March 2007, I still remember.
Hmm.
And I saw the show, Laid Back Waters in Delhi, these guys playing live electronic music on stage, and my mouth was like hanging. Like, I mean, like, this is
Yeah, it must have
insane.
been amazing.
And a guy coming from Dubai, I don't really know what is the scene here. I only knew Pentagram and Junkyard Group at that time,
Right.
two bands.
Yeah, yeah.
And suddenly I see this, and I'm like, I'm getting goosebumps talking to you about it. So, uh, and and more than okay, more importantly, those
Hmm.
five guys off the stage were best friends.
Right.
So
Hmm.
I saw that and I was like, I'm alone in Delhi. I don't know anyone here, and I want to be the sixth person in this gang. You get it?
Right.
Like I want to
Right.
be their buddy. I want to be like how they hang out with each other throughout the day
Yeah.
and at the studio or wherever they meet every day,
Yeah.
and they were hanging out and they
There was a
were
natural chemistry between the five of them, even musically and as friends.
musically as people and more than the music side of it. I never at that time thought, oh, this is an opportunity where I can be a manager and all. I never
Of
thought
course, you
about
just want
those
to
things.
be a part of what
I just
was
wanted to
happening
have
between
yeah,
them.
exactly. I just wanted to be friends with these guys. Most
Yeah.
important, right? Like that was the
Right.
primary thing. That how can I be that sixth guy that is in this gang of people?
And at
And
that point, you didn't know that it's the sixth guy would turn out to be an artist manager or anything like that. You didn't
uh,
know.
everything happened so fast. I mean, as soon as I
And
saw that,
organically.
as soon as I saw that show, I just naturally started promoting them and on
Right.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And these guys weren't really. They used to just do MySpace, but not the rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys. know if we can make a Facebook group, blah blah blah. So I did all of those early days, made a Facebook page, Facebook group, started
Right.
promoting with my. I had a big network of people in Dubai, so
Right.
started promoting to my friends in Dubai, and whoever I
And
knew, I used to be like, "You got to listen to this," you know.
right. This was all going on parallelly while you were working at Red FM.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And at that time, this the working with the band was just fun hobby side
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
I wasn't even getting paid or anything. So I used to do the radio thing, and that was my main focus because that was a stable career with
Hmm.
steady salary in the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I just started doing that, like small things. I said to the guys that, listen, I don't know what I can do. I'm not a musically inclined person. I'm not a musician,
Hmm.
but I really want to do something for you guys. Can I like carry your bags to the shows? Can I collect your checks? Can I do something? Like, what can I
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
So they were like,
Very
yeah,
important.
yeah, we need a guy to do all these things, and
Yeah.
so then I just learned on the job, and that's how it was. And yeah, dude, those 6 years, things happened really fast. I mean, this is 2007 when I started working
Hmm.
with them, and
Yeah.
in by the time we reached 2009-10, they were sort of the hottest property in the country. They were doing like 100 shows a year. They were getting sponsored by brands like Coca-Cola, Burn, Adidas.
100 shows a year at that point.
At that point,
Wow.
I'm talking 2 years later, like 2009.
Yeah.
We were,
So when you joined them, they were already playing shows, right? And how did you sort of add value to that? Uh, did you then, once you got on board with them as the guy who wants to help them, did you start going out and speaking to other people to get them gigs while they were already getting gigs?
see, initially they were not playing a lot of shows, but they had
Okay.
each of the guys had a good network with people.
Right.
So they were doing a lot of other things. I mean, everyone had different jobs. Two of them were doing Fashion Week music. Ash and Arjun were in, sound engineers in Red FM.
Hmm.
So the network of people which they knew was already big. Right?
Okay.
They knew the fashion scene. They knew some people from
Yeah.
uh, across the board. Like they knew Nikhil and the Sunburn crew. At that time, he
Right.
was part of Sunburn, and Blue Frog had just started. So, it's like a combination of things. It's I wouldn't never
Yeah.
say that, oh, my joining them was the catalyst.
Right.
I think what I would say is that the team, the group of people,
Mm.
the combination of the group of people was so lethal and so decisive that it had everything covered. Like you had marketing aspect covered, you had the logistics aspect covered, you had the PR aspect covered, you had the connections, you had all of it covered, and of course you had the musicality and that side covered.
Right.
So among the six of us, everything was pretty much covered. It was a great team. It's just like a great football team. You know, everyone works together and you score a lot of goals. That's what was happening. Yeah,
Yeah. This
yeah.
football reference had to come into this, right?
I've
Since
used football reference from the beginning of my life. So
same, same,
yeah,
same.
yeah. Has to be. So yeah, I think I believe the combination was great, and they were getting like interesting shows. Like they were getting like some fashion week shows, and the moment you activate that kind of audience, you start getting pulled into those circles. You know,
Right.
you'll play a Manish Arora launch game. You'll
Okay.
play a Rohit Bal party. You'll play and then the brands see you, like, and then Nokia saw them, and then all those things happen.
Yeah.
So I was just the guy behind connecting the dots and using their well established network and just connecting
Right.
the dots and just like sort of trying to get the best out of it for all of us.
Right.
And
During that period, did you ever think that you want to manage more acts or something, or did you just want to commit to them for the time being?
well, honestly, at that time, 2 years or 3 years in, I was getting a lot of interest from other bands, other artists. I won't name them,
Hmm.
A-list artists at that time.
Okay.
But I was solely committed to this band, and I believed at that time that we could be the world's best. So
Right.
yeah, and that was the trajectory of that band. So and I was fully committed to it. For me, it was like it was the only thing. I wasn't in it to be in the music industry or any of that.
Right. So then, how did you and Arjun get together, and when was the idea for Unmute seeded? Around what point?
Actually, what happened was like in by the time 2011 or 12, the band was considering splitting.
Okay.
So I was, of course, in part of those meetings, and at that time, I had to make a decision. I had a successful career in media,
Hmm.
and I was a creative head at ibbo.com at that time.
Okay.
I had left Red FM. I was a creative head at I, so it was a pretty good position and well paid, blah blah blah. And the band was also doing well. So, and I had built up a decent enough reputation in both industries, which is broadcast media and independent music.
Hmm.
And I had to make a choice. I couldn't do both because it was taking a toll on my health. I was getting sick. I was unwell. I
Right.
would not get sleep. I would not get any rest. No holidays. All my holidays were traveling to gigs with the band.
Okay.
And every corporate holiday I saved for going to a gig. So you can
Right.
imagine I did not like really go for a holiday or anything
Yeah.
for all those years. And it was pretty like taxing
Right.
physically, mentally. So I had to make a choice. And then when the band decided to call it quits in 2012,
Hmm.
I decided that I thought it'd be a good idea to use all that experience and create this agency. And I had
Hmm.
sat down with Arjun, and Arjun and me had always, even with Jalebi, Arjun and me were always like sitting and planning the way ahead in terms
Right.
of the business side of things.
Right.
Musically, I wasn't involved, like I said, but the
Mm.
business side of things is what me and Arjun would always have long
Was it on
discussions.
the lines of you starting just a solo other company to manage Arjun, or was it a bigger vision of starting a company like an artist management agency and having some more artists on the board, having a few other employees, and a full-fledged shebang?
The idea was to create a Jalebi management wing
Okay.
at that time. So, but then the band only decided to split. So then that went through the
Okay.
window, and then I had registered the name on me randomly the year before, just registered and kept it for
Hmm.
no reason. I don't know why I registered it. It wasn't supposed to be an agency or anything. I just registered a music brand called Amir.
Right.
I would use it for whatever. And then when the band decided to split, I had a meeting with Arjun, and I was like, okay, I think I want to start. I think we should start this, and these are the list of artists I want to work with.
Hmm.
And we made a call, and in 20 minutes we had a roster of 20 artists.
Wow.
Yeah,
20 artists.
yeah. I don't. 2015 or 20. I don't know.
Like you signed all of them. Like you just decided
We
to
just
manage
called
all
them and we're like, I'm starting this agency, and you want to come on board? And the answer was yes to everyone from everywhere.
Wow.
So yeah,
That must be like such a boost for you. Were
yeah,
you ready to handle all of that, or was it just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. It's really exciting. We'll see how it goes.
man. It was early days. It was new. Everyone wanted to experiment. There was no concept of
Management.
agency or
Yeah.
management. Only one was OML, and OML at that time was doing rock bands,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
there weren't any. I don't think.
Not for DJs or electronic acts at that
Yeah,
point.
there were none.
There was that void that you were ready to fill at that point with experience of 6 years in the same genre.
Exactly, and I'm proud to say that even till date, whatever awards or whatever accolades or whatever any of the DJs who are or aren't on our roster win
Hmm.
have at some time passed through our agency. So that's fantastic,
Right.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
uh,
You have laid the foundation for something like that to be a thing, where artists can come to you and say that, hey, here I am with some music and I wish to play shows. Can you help me?
no,
And
that's not our job. That's a booking agency's job. That's what we reject. If
okay.
somebody says that, I don't work with them.
No, as in
Uh,
they have music on them, but I guess
no, if an
they
artist is going to call me and say that, hey, I have music, I want to play shows, I'll be like, dude, I don't have a magic wand. Sorry, get your own shows.
so
Uh,
how does someone approach you, or are you of the opinion that you won't let anyone approach you? It'll be you who will find someone that you want to manage.
it's a case to case. I mean, primarily, Unmute as a philosophy is an invite only agency.
Okay.
But
Okay. So
we have made exceptions where artists have come to us and we signed them.
okay.
But primarily, our philosophy is that we'll work with who we want to work with. So,
Hmm.
and to further define that, uh, we'll work with people who are ready to put in the work that we are ready to.
Right.
So, if you're going to turn around and say, "Hey, I have music and I want to play shows," that's the totally wrong approach.
Right.
Just
So that
getting shows is not what you need to look for in an agency. I mean,
right.
that's a totally lazy approach. And I swear to God, we get at least 5 to 7 emails and messages a
Every day.
day saying the
Yeah.
same thing, and those go straight in trash. So those are the ones we're not interested in. Like if you're just interested in us as a booking agent for you to get shows, then find someone else who will do it. Find a friend who can do it for you.
So, in a nutshell, what's the right way for an artist? I think there is no right way for an artist to get an artist manager. I think what I've understood about artist management is that you have to first build something on your own and then wait for someone to see how they can add value to an existing uh, thing that you've created as an artist, be it music or be it whatever, as an artist, whatever you're providing to the audience. What is the right approach that artists should have from day one so that they can end up being managed by someone?
Hmm. Okay, there's no right or wrong. There is no educated approach or there's no template to this.
Yeah.
But the way I see it, I can tell you that
Hmm.
is basically for me, it's very important that a person, any individual, whether you're an artist or not, or in any business,
Hmm.
is putting 150% in what he or she does.
Right.
Uh, if you have an opportunity to create value in any business, say if you work in a McDonald's, or say if you work in a hotel, or say if you work in a bank, or say if you are a DJ, or say if you are a booking manager, or say whatever,
Right.
if you're not going to lay your own foundations and vision of where you want to be, and you know start on that journey on your own, then no agency can help you. Like coming back to being an
Correct.
artist,
Yeah.
for example, if you're a young DJ and you're a producer as well, that's a great advantage to have, right? So
Yeah.
uh, among yourself only, and like look at India, like look at the artists in India, like you can
Mm.
count the number of artists who have lit actually gone out and punched above their weight, or
Right.
actually created an impact and
Yeah.
actually have built an audience in the country and outside the country,
Right.
uh, uh, or are sought after. Bookings is not everything. So
Yeah.
uh, primarily, in a nutshell, you need to be
Do you
working
think
on
it's the music that really
music
makes
is
the difference
important.
first?
Music is
Mm.
important, but our industry is moving at a blazing speed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't catch up, you're going to be left out. So the most important thing for me is that I always say this to every artist we work with, and I'm going to say it in a public forum. I never say it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
three P's, which is performance, production, and PR.
Right.
If you're gonna, if you're if as an artist you're 100%, then you have to give 33 to performance and
Everything.
PR, and 34 to production.
Yeah.
So if you're good at all three and you master all three, is when you can actually uh, move ahead. Now, how to find an agent? I don't think finding an agent. If you're finding an agent, there's a problem.
Hmm.
If an
Right.
agent is finding you, that's when you're
That's
doing something right.
yeah. Yeah. Correct. Absolutely.
So, firstly, stop looking for an agent.
Right.
I'd say the better approach would be find a friend or a cousin or someone who's around you, close to you, loves you more than an
Right.
agent,
Who
who
can
will
handle
push
some of
you.
the operations?
Yeah, man, just
Yeah.
help
I
you
think
out
and
there.
friends will be happy to help in that way if they
You
are
will
really
be
your friends.
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone wants to be in a cool business. Music is a cool
Yeah.
business. If your friend is doing something interesting, and you, for example, if I work in HDFC Bank and my friend is a producer, he's my roommate or whatever,
Hmm.
and he needs help, I will use my banking connections to get him what he needs. So,
Right.
but he needs to ask me. So,
Yeah.
uh, I think that's a good approach. So I'll go back to that one line that if an agent is looking for you, is when you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And there are a few artists in India now who we have our eye on. So,
Right.
but a lot of artists will write us an email saying, "Hey, here's a mix I made, and I need more shows." Uh, my honest response with
Man,
them would be, "Fuck you."
no response. Yeah. Or fuck you.
But my other response is delete. So
Yeah.
uh, that's not the way to do things. We
Yeah.
guys have given our ass to build this industry, and a
Yeah.
lot
And
of
I don't
people.
think people think of that, that just because there is an agency doesn't mean that you just sign
It
up for them
it
and
it reeks of entitlement. I mean, The kind of
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
85-90% approaches I have are all entitled approaches. Like people think that we are here to serve them. Like fuck you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean
That,
that's
that
not.
that's one attitude problem that sort of needs to be corrected. And I think in a way it's a good thing that a lot of people every day are coming up to be musicians, but the approach sort of needs to be attenuated, and uh, the attitude needs to be corrected for sure.
Yeah, and I speak to a lot of new artists who suddenly played 5 shows and are now uh, have this air around them like, oh my
Huh.
god, I am the scene.
Yeah.
You are not the scene, buddy. You're a matchar in the
Far
scene.
from it.
Yeah, like so. There's a lot to this industry and scene that has gone behind the scenes for you to come and claim that I am the shit just because you have one hit track or you played with one cool festival or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Oh,
So
definitely. I mean, I think hard work is the way to go, and maybe if
hard
you
and smart work.
smart work.
Yeah,
And I think if you want someone to manage you, don't just go directly up to them and ask them, "Can you manage me?" You either ask them what they, or I mean, what he or she can do to proceed from where what point they are from to forward at some point.
you
Not
know
just
what?
directly manage me,
Have
but
yeah, you know what? Have a conversation, have a
have a
relationship,
conversation.
build a
Exactly.
relationship.
Go up to
So,
them, start talking to them without
dude,
any expectations.
there are. I mean, I consider Indian artists to be one of the luckiest in the world because there is a notion that we don't get enough focus.
Hmm.
And because of that, a lot of people here are putting in an effort. So you see, all the promoters, all the everyone has done some sort of panels or conferences.
Yeah.
A lot of that work has gone down, where you
Yeah.
have an opportunity to meet people who have done some sort of work in the industry. I don't want to use the word successful because successful is subjective.
Yeah.
There are
Cut their
opportunities.
teeth in whatever field they are in.
Sorry.
Be it they've cut their teeth, gone through the grind in whatever field they are in, be
Yeah,
it
they
management or be it
might or might not be successful, but they paid their dues. Uh,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
what I've really noticed, and dude, we used to run our own conference at Palm Expo in Bombay
Right. Yeah.
for about 4 5 years, and it was disheartening to see that we've organized and curated this conference with 50 speakers from Bollywood all the way to independent music,
Hmm.
and who are A-list in what they do,
Right.
speaking for free. There is no fee
Yeah.
to enter this,
Yeah.
and it would be so disheartening to see the local Mumbai DJs, producers, industry musicians, or artist managers. None of them would show up. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so disappointing, and it's the same in like Delhi. I recently did a talk with Josh Wink. Josh Wink was playing in Delhi. I WhatsApped him saying, "Would you like to do a talk here?"
Right.
And he said yes. I mean, if in 2007 Josh Wink was doing a talk in Delhi and I was hustling for Jalebee, dude, I would be up front there.
Yeah.
But there are so many people who I meet in clubs who speak of the hustle, but
Yeah.
don't show up where it
They
matters.
don't show up. Yeah. Showing up is an issue. Is one of the
And
issues.
and I will not forget one guy came all the way from Jaipur uh, to hear Josh Wing,
Wow.
and 5 hours drive to hear Josh Wing. And he wanted to go back because he didn't have a place to hang out. And Josh Wing was playing in Delhi. I made sure he had a place. I made sure he had a drive back to Jaipur, and I
Mm.
made sure he attended the show for free. So
Yeah.
so I mean, um, people who work in our Indian industry are very approachable, very open. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so if you're new and if you're aspiring to do something, whatever it might be, go up
Yeah.
and have a relationship, talk to people, understand their perspective,
Yeah.
understand where you're lacking, understand what you need to do, rather
And
than walking
understand.
up and be like, how do I join Unmute? You can't fucking join Unmute or whoever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
It's not a Facebook group.
yeah, and
And
and more importantly, hey, we run a business.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
it, it,
So
it's
you're not just here to serve the artists, you're also running a business, so you have to see whether or not they are worth taking on, and whether or not they are ready to have that discussion as to what they want to be, where they want to go. Are they really in it for the long haul or not,
dude.
or
I
it's
mean,
just there for
businesses
because of fame?
businesses like ours are literally on the brink. Like we don't. It's not like we're making profits and walking away to the bank, right?
Yeah,
It's not like
yeah.
that. We
No.
are literally
We-
bearing. We are making our ends meet. We are able to pay salaries. We are able to live a decent life, and
Yeah,
that's about it. It's not like I've as an unmute as a business is like making crores of rupees profit every year. No, it doesn't work that way. And
yeah,
it's a hard fucking hustle. So whether you're experienced or not and you've been around or not, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I mean, you are competing with kids who have a lot of money, starting agencies, pumping in that money in artists, and you're competing with that. And I don't come from any money in your bag. I've
Yeah.
built this from zero.
Yeah. So you were telling me about how these guys don't understand where the people who run the agencies come from, and
Exactly.
that they have a magic wand that'll just make you popular or a superstar in music.
Exactly. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And the
I get it.
competition is brutal across board,
So
across board.
let's talk about that grind that you have had since, let's say, when since you started Unmute in 2012.
Mhm.
Uh, you primarily were looking after Arjun, and was it 2012 when he started his solo project?
Yes, correct. I think no. I think earlier. I think while Jalebee was there, he was releasing some of the music which didn't fit in the band. Like,
Right. Okay.
band had a certain type of musicality, and Arjun had wanted to do some
And he
things.
had the
He had a
vision
few,
to.
one or two releases on the as Arjun Wagle at that time, and I
Mhm.
think he went full fledged. Of course, when the band
Uh,
wrapped up,
right.
Arjun sort of. Uh,
And with the establishment of Unmute, I think his resolve was even stronger to pursue the solo project, which
Dude,
was.
unmute or not, that guy's resolve is strong. Which was always strong in 2019 as well. Like, even after
Yeah.
doing this for what 25 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel sad that the younger artists don't have the resolve he has. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
And that's what I think. Since we've been speaking about how the approach of the artist needs to be and what mistakes they should look at avoiding, I think they should look up to him, and not just the famous big artist aspect of it, but also how he is constantly working towards, evolving. When we speak of asymmetric, and that's a new project that he's just taken up. At this point also, he is trying to do, I guess, get out of his comfort zone and do something different with asymmetric.
dude, it's difficult to catch up. So when in 2018 we had certain targets set. Arjun personally had a certain some targets. I want to get on XYZ label. I want to play XYZ shows. I want to do this. I want to do that. And
Right.
when all that was checked, I actually sat back and I was like, "Wow, we've done all of it," you know. And then he was
Wow.
like, "Listen, I have this asymmetric," and I was like, "Man, I'm tired. Uh, do we have to do like now? We have to go 10 steps behind and start a new moniker." I mean,
uh,
I was fully in support of it, but what I'm trying to point across here is that the guy is relentless,
hmm,
and that's the I think that's the way. That's one of the ways that would take you up in life, like in general, not
hmm,
as a musician, but generally. Like, you're always looking at what's next.
yeah.
And Arjun doesn't like talking about like the past. It's amusing to see like the guy who has done so much, who doesn't want to talk about the past. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he just
Not
wants to talk
looking
about
back.
what's zero. He doesn't want to look back at what he did in this like September.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, but it's also tiring, and it's
Right.
fucking phenomenal. Yeah,
But I'm sure he was excited to do this.
of
uh,
course, Array, of course. That's I'm not
you
saying
to
he wasn't.
reinvent yourself, and I think if you've already had the journey once, it can be a very refreshing thing to like start all over again and
Man,
see where things
uh,
go.
imagine that a guy has done what he has done and succeeded with two different artist monikers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. True. Exactly.
as Arjun Wagle done everything that is possible an Indian techno artist can do.
Yes.
There's nothing left in the
Hell
checkbox,
yeah.
and then decides that I want to start a new moniker where nobody knows asymmetric is Arjun, and then we have to restart everything.
Yeah.
So it takes balls,
For sure.
and the music is not the most accessible music. It's really experimental. It's
Yeah.
it's fresh. It's new. It's might we weren't sure if will or will not be accepted by people when he's playing
Mhm.
the shows.
Yeah.
But when he did
That's
the
the
first
challenge,
show,
right? Isn't that's the challenge, and
dude,
that's.
yeah, the first show in Bangalore, Asymmetric Live, we had done this series of shows called Artifact Assassin,
Right.
a
Yeah.
series of audiovisual, limited series of audiovisual events.
Hmm.
Uh, and the first show in Bangalore, we were all nervous, not sure how it'll go down.
Hmm.
And as soon as the first tune came on, I could just see the anticipation and reaction of people, and I was like, "Oh, okay, it
Wow.
works," you know.
Yeah.
And it
And
was
throughout the show, the energy was there.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was like people were surprised yet excited. So
I think, yeah, that's the one good thing about our audience, that they are very open minded. And just because uh, Arjun's playing as asymmetric, they won't be like, okay, let's just expect that Arjun Wagle sound. They are open minded, and they'll just take in what's being doled out.
some of them, yeah, but some of them were like, oh, why is he playing up for 1 hour? Or why is he not playing his that XYZ track? Or why is he in the audience? I'm walking in the crowd and people are stopping, holding, grabbing my t-shirt and be like, why did he stop after 1 hour? And I'm like, it's a live set. That's all he has. Uh,
Yeah, I
he
think,
does. He's not
yeah,
carrying his like DJ setup
right.
purposely for
Yeah,
a
I think
reason.
that technical aspect, I think, is something that the audience will still to come to terms with. That, with the live set, you expect a different experience as compared to a DJ set where the artist can go on for like 10 hours as he
True,
wishes.
true.
And I think that is also one area where Arjun is uh, exposing the Indian audience to the concept of live set with live equipment on the stage, and that's
Uh,
something that we are.
See, I mean, there are a lot of cool artists doing live, like
Yeah, even
Sand
Blot is doing that,
Dunes,
and yeah,
Sand
Sandals.
Dunes, Blot, Duelist Inquiry. There are a lot of cool artists doing live electron. Vinayaka. I don't know if you follow Vinayaka and No Latency
I
project. Where
haven't checked out his live project, but
oh, it's incredible to watch. I mean, it's like five moves on stage. Uh, so there are a lot of other cool artists as well.
right,
There's the Hyper Protocol guys in Calcutta. There's the Paraphonics.
Paraphonics,
Yeah,
right,
there's all
yeah,
sorts of live artists in India. There's a lot of like if you follow Reproduce and what they do, there
mm,
are so many live artists coming out of that, like sort of those shows.
yeah,
But what Arjun is doing is basically he's taken his brand name, whatever you want to say, reputation,
mm, mm,
and shown that there is a way ahead for modular live artists. Like
right, yeah,
that you can do modular live on stage with a lot of people, and that sort of it's acceptable now, and that venues will buy into it, and that hopefully sort of that's the impact he's hoping to create. That
right. On
along
that
with it's
front,
not about just him, along with
mm,
him that more and more people are now given opportunities and to do this.
yeah,
And we actually that was the idea of the shows as well, where we had like interesting artists supporting him in all the cities.
yeah,
Like one of the cool ones was United Machines in Bombay. I love him. He's an
mm,
experienced guy, but he does some incredible stuff, and I don't think he gets enough for what he does.
right.
So those are the kind of artists Arjun like supports, and yeah, so that's
So
primarily.
on that front, when it comes to doing live shows, uh, in the end, I think when you approach a venue or any place that could host Arjun for a show, you approach them with the idea of a live setup. What are the challenges that you have to convince the place to host a gig like that? Considering the equipment that's there, the fees that will be there for this gig, and also the appeal, the mass appeal to this kind of a project. I'm sure you must have had some sort of challenges on that front.
Specifically for Arjun's project, we didn't have any challenge because we threw our own shows. uh,
Okay,
I mean, we partnered with
right.
social and just hired venues and just threw our own shows, so we didn't have to deal with
Yeah.
that.
But
That's
in
that.
general, for someone who is planning,
But like a lot of other artists, like Duelist Inquiry, Vinayaka when he's doing the live.
yeah,
So those guys from our roster, when they do the live shows, we do have some sort of challenges in terms of the technical requirements,
hmm,
uh, etc. But it's pretty much sorted nowadays. I think venues have understood eventually that
right.
you have to
So
fix
they
all
don't
these
really distinguish between a DJ gig or a live gig, as long as you're coming, you're playing the music, and you're doing the promotions.
black and white of it is that a lot of venues don't have bookers who uh, understand the
Understand that.
difference. For
Mm.
them, it's about what artist am I getting, how many people will come, and what will be my sale.
Our sales, right?
But it's our sort of that's where we unmute steps in to influence the fact that hey, we want to do a live set here because we know if it works in XYZ city or XYZ venue. So that's where we come in. We're like, in this venue, we're only going to do a live set, and this is what it costs, and that's how we work it out. And I think a lot of the bookers trust us
Mm.
that okay, if you're saying this is going to
Yeah,
work here, we'll go with it.
right, right. So, since we have spoken about Arjun and you have mentioned Duelist Inquiry, Sick Flip, all the other artists on your roster, and it's a very diverse roster.
Yeah. Want me to
Can
list it out?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to talk about some of the music that they are coming up with. I
Sure.
heard about Surreal and Duelist.
Yeah.
Uh, what was your input in their album, the new music that's coming out, and what other artists are you looking forward to on your roster with the new music that they are coming up with?
I'm gonna list the roster A to Z first.
Sure. Yeah.
So currently on the unmute roster, there is Arjun Wagle, Asymmetric. They're one
Right.
person but two different artists. There's Bablu Babylon. I don't know if you've heard of
I have, but
him.
that's the only thing I've heard about, just his name and his music. But no, I think the whole identity part is a secret.
Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. Then there's Dot That.
Right.
There's DJ
Not
Sa.
that. Right. Okay.
Then Duelist Inquiry.
Hmm.
Elsif is an artist, but Elsif hasn't been is not active currently, but they will come back soon.
Okay.
Murtavik from
Right.
Hyderabad, Praveen
Yeah.
Achari from Bangalore, Sick Flip, Sprike from Bombay,
Hmm.
Surreal, Vinayaka. And in terms of the visual art, we've got Avinash, uh,
Right.
Teroda, and Kursorama is Yash, who's done the Artifact Assassin shows with Asymmetric,
Okay. Hmm.
and he's now signed to us. That's our current roster. Yeah,
Right.
and
So
you were saying music.
music. Yeah. What's exciting at Unmute right now? Which artists are you all listening to
I
and
am
working
super
hard on?
excited. Finally, it's been a while. I've been bored, and I say this to everybody.
Hmm.
I've been bored in terms of what's happening in the Indian industry in general,
Hmm.
because it's sort of everything felt so.
In terms of the music that's been whipped
No,
out.
no. In terms of the overall thing, has felt so repetitive over the last few years.
Okay.
Mm. So this year we sort of took a step back and with the team at Unmute and us sort of took a step back to focus on the music and
Hmm.
like go back to basics, which is let's push the music.
Hmm.
Let's not only market and let's not only book and let's not only PR
Right.
do PR, but where's the let's get good music out and then let it do its job.
Yeah.
And in terms of the roster, we've got
And yeah,
some
I mean, you have an amazing roster. So I think at some point people would expect that, where's the new music and uh, yeah, like the music.
exactly. So in terms of the roster, we've got music from across genres. There's like techno, there's bass, there's trap, there's desi bass, uh, uh, ambient electronic songs. There's all sorts of things. I mean,
And then there's the audio visual aspect to these things as well.
yeah, of
With,
course, there's a lot of videos and a lot of video content associated with each of the artists individually. So
hmm,
I'm gonna go A to Z. Some of the
right.
new music that's coming out. I mean, Arjun always has like music coming out. He's got a single coming out in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Um
Is it on his own label or
no, it's on Sisyphon. It's a label owned by a really cool German venue called Sisyphos.
Sisyphos? Right. The
Uh,
club.
yeah, and there's really like Daniel Miller from Mute Records is on that uh, release. So it's an interesting one. Uh, so that's his upcoming stuff. There's
Then the asymmetric EP that just came out.
Asymmetric EP just came out, so that's doing well. And it got onto Hate and all those kind of interesting
Right.
uh,
Platforms.
platforms.
Is it available on Bandcamp
It's
and all
available on
other
Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music,
right?
across platforms. It's available everywhere right now.
That's for all your artists, right? As soon as you release it, you release it on
That's the
all the
current
streaming.
focus. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
Dot Dad has. I've been waiting for him actually, and he's got some incredible proper
He
techno
has
music.
he has made some really big strides in the last 1 or 2 years, if I'm not wrong. Since the time he became Dot Dat.
Yes, yes, yeah. He's been doing really well. Yeah, yeah. He's been doing a
I'm
lot, and
myself seeing a lot of praises and support for him.
yeah,
Uh,
he won the Beatport Beats in School competition, and
right.
it's a global producer competition.
Yeah.
Uh, and he got selected from about 2,000 entries, and he signed a track to Second State, which is Panpot's label,
Right.
and they're mentoring him for a year. So it's already mid-year into that mentorship, and they've already booked him for two shows, one in Watergate, Berlin, and one at their Amsterdam dance event opening show. So that was huge. He
That's
just played that.
fantastic. Yeah.
Um, Along with that, he's got some amazing music coming out on some interesting labels. The reason it's taking time for him is he wants to release it at the
Right time.
with at the right no with the right labels. Most
Okay.
importantly,
Which is very important.
which is very important. A lot of artists don't realize that. So he's got it down, and of course Arjun is also working closely with him and helping him.
Of course.
So that's that's dot that, and then DJ Sa is an interesting one. Uh,
hmm
I
I
think
don't think
he's
I've heard any music from Sa. Like I've just seen him.
yeah. I mean, he's going to change that very soon. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
want to
he's
say
working on
much.
that. Okay.
Sa is one of India's top hip hop DJs and
Yeah.
like,
No
plays a
doubt.
lot of shows. And he's sort of a streetwear connoisseur. He's a
Yeah.
chef. He's lot of things rolled into one. And recently, he's been working really hard behind the scenes to produce music.
Right. Have you? I mean, since you have the new philosophy at the agency, was that a catalyst in pushing him to go behind the scenes and sit in the studio and grind it out?
Yes, 100%. We've been telling him from years, and now that the hip hop scene is finally where he wants it to be, he
Yeah,
also
man.
feels he also
Right.
feels that he needs to contribute to it because
Yeah.
he has contributed to it in a way when no one was playing hip hop and listening to hip hop. He was the
Yeah.
only hip hop night you could go to in Mumbai,
Right.
and all the current
It's about time,
superstars.
basically, for
Yeah,
him.
all the current superstars of hip hop in India are like paying ode to him at every. We recently played a show
The way.
uh,
Yeah.
at Grubfest in Delhi where there were 15,000 people,
Mm.
and Divine was playing. And post Divine, it was Sa
Yeah.
closing the night, and Divine says that respect to Sa because he's been with he. Divine says that I've been with him since the beginning, and he's been with me since the beginning. So Divine used to go to Sa shows.
Yeah.
So I mean that's amazing to see. So Sa I think also feels that he needs to contribute to the hip hop scene in London. So he's got some interesting collaborations in the works. I don't want to say
Right.
anything about them.
Are we
Like
gonna hear him rap or just
no,
produce?
he's going to be producing as of now. I
Okay.
don't know if he changes his mind about rapping and all. I don't know.
Right.
That's up to him. That we
Right.
don't influence that.
Okay.
And moving on, Duelist Inquiry is one I'm super kicked about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Me too.
yeah, so he's got an EP. I think by the time this comes out, so I'll just say he's got an EP out already.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually out on November 15th, which is tomorrow. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to repeat this so you can cut that. Mm. Duelist Inquiry's got a really cool EP out, Live Forms. It's already on the charts on Spotify and Apple.
Right.
And he's got one EP, one album, and few other collaborative tracks coming out in the next year.
So lots of music coming out from Duelist.
There is no stopping from Duelist Inquiry, is all I can say.
No
So,
holds barred.
no holds barred. He has a lot of music coming out, and he is constantly working in the studio and getting those out. So, we're very excited as a team.
Yeah.
He's one of the artists we are super excited about in terms of the music because even his style has changed.
Okay.
And recently he went to uh, film school in Prague,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Okay.
he's got that aspect. He's making his own videos, and he's got that angle to it now.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, the last Lifeforms EP, he even released a music video completely shot and directed by him. So
Wow,
uh,
that's awesome.
yeah, so that's one. And then Murtovik is one. He just recently did this interesting project for Red Bull called Antarik Sanchar with Avinash. Avinash, who's an ex-visual artist of Blot,
Right.
and Avinash and Murthy worked on
It was
this.
an Indian dance folk event,
It was
right?
an Indian dance opera,
Okay.
an extension of a video game Avinash has been working on.
Okay.
And it was basically Indian dance, live Carnatic music with electronic influences,
Okay.
live visual art, uh, all simultaneously. It was a
Wow.
theatrical show which happened in 4 or 5 cities. So he's produced that music, Carnatic electronic music, if you may, and
Mhm.
that's now coming to
Wow.
clubs.
KEM.
Carnatic is C.
Oh, okay.
But that's now coming to clubs,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
you'll hear more of it. And that's his. He released a single on Get Physical as well recently.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, everyone's busy. So you see, that's what keeps us busy. Yeah,
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I mean, from the way you're saying, it just sounds like all your artists are working very hard, and which sort of gives you that confidence and excitement that okay, I'm so excited to talk about the artists who are coming out with new music, and I'm sure that's what's spurring you on to keep going and work harder for the music that they are releasing.
absolutely. I mean, exactly. That's primarily. I mean, why are we in this business, right? We're not in it to do
Yeah,
700 shows a year. Even though
yeah.
as an agency we might do those numbers, but uh,
Like everyone's releasing, working on something or the other.
it's not fun otherwise. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not fun otherwise. I mean, if people are
yeah.
not talking about the music release, if I go home and my family, like the kids in my family, are not talking about the music my artists are releasing, then it's not fun.
Yeah, yeah, makes
Uh, yeah.
sense.
And it was like you like always like looking for validation, and then when you go to someone and then they were like, "Oh, you know what? I heard Surya's track, or I heard Arjun's track, or I heard this Duelist Inquiry
Yeah,
track,"
yeah.
and they were like, "Okay, that's okay.
Feel proud, right?
Yeah, कुछ कर रहे हैं हम लोग." Like that's the idea.
चालू है, कुछ ना कुछ तो चलते रहता है.
Exactly. Moving on to the rest of the roster, there's Praveen Achari, who's constantly like pushing the progressive house scene with his label and himself,
Yeah.
always releasing music, remixes,
I know
and
he's been releasing stuff very regularly on his label
yeah,
uh, with so many new artists that he's supporting a lot of artists basically, I think.
exactly. So that's he's got that progressive house scene down, which is why when Anjana Deep shows happen here, they book him.
Yeah. I'm
So
waiting that maybe, one day we get to see Praveen release on Anjana Deep.
I hope so too. I hope so too. I can only hope so. So Nikhil, if you're listening, get this done.
Yeah. For
And
sure, he's the man if this needs to get done.
Yeah, and Sick Flip. Oh, that's another one I'm excited about. Sick Flip has got, in my opinion, like his best music is
Mhm.
now gonna come out in the next 1 year.
Yeah, actually, I'm following him on Instagram, and I constantly, dude. Firstly, his social media game is too strong, man. It's fucking fantastic, and
Exactly,
uh, and then I mean, since a while, I have been following him and just looking at his gigs and stuff like that, and I've been wondering when is he coming up with some new music, and I mean, I was waiting for that, and I have since like a few months, I'm seeing he's building up to that release, and he's been showing snippets and uh, posting stuff about collabing with Kutle Khan and all these guys like Ritwiz and everyone. So
exactly.
I'm really looking forward to that, man.
Yeah. So Sarvesh has some interesting tracks coming out. In one of the tracks, I mean, I don't know if I should say it. Maybe he should announce it on his own.
Hmm.
Yeah. So he's got he's as of now, I have
Hmm.
in my inbox like six hit Sick Flip tracks, even if I may say so. And
Nice.
I'm waiting for them to come out, so they will be out soon. We're just waiting.
Any
We,
tentative release date for the album?
there's no album yet,
Okay, just okay.
so we're
Sporadic
gonna put
release.
out a few singles, and then we'll next year is when Sarvesh is gonna put out an album.
Okay.
He might have announced a lot of times my album is coming out, this that, but uh, with him, the thing is that if a guy keeps constantly making amazing tracks,
Hmm.
you want to do justice to that music. And I feel like if you
Yeah.
release an
Yeah.
album with five good tracks, then you're gonna lose out
Yeah.
on the reach. And people,
Yeah. Very
I
true.
just want people to listen to good music. And if he's got good music, then
Yeah.
great music, not good music.
Mm.
We want to be able to, and him wants to be able to ensure that the maximum amount of people listen to it. So that's what the plan is. And I swear, the moment his tracks come out, you will know exactly what I'm talking about because
Yeah.
I've
I've
never
heard
been this excited
they
about his
sound
music.
really good. The previews sound really good, and I mean the social media campaign on one end, but the music, at least I feel, is really fresh, and it's again it's diverse. It's not something that he's just making for clubs. I think.
Yeah, it's not about making music for the clubs. No, it's about making music to listen, uh, and that's primarily what his focus is. I mean, eventually, you want people to listen to your music, right, while they're chilling, while they
Yeah, I
are.
mean, it's not always about parties, yeah, and I
Yeah,
think that's one thing that we, I mean, since we have sort of primarily ventured into club music and everything, we sort of don't realize the importance of having non-club music,
yeah,
where we don't want to like just listen to bangers. We want to listen to something else, but equally refreshing. And that is what I see a lot of producers tapping into, that side
Exactly,
of the alternative
exactly.
side of
I
electronic
mean,
music.
if you're a house music or techno or tech house DJ producer, then it makes sense to make club music.
Yeah, like dot that,
Yeah,
straight up.
yeah, Praveen, dot that, these
Yeah,
kind of guys. So you can do that. But if
yeah,
you're a multifaceted artist and you do a lot of things, different kinds of music, then you might as well make tracks for people to listen to and then play club edits in the clubs or whatever. I mean, that's a good
yeah,
way to do things. I just gave away a way to do things.
right.
Uh,
So after sick flip, who do we
af-
have?
After Sick Flip, there's Sprite. So
Sprite.
Strike is another interesting. He does so many things.
Mm-hmm.
He's into VR, AR, all those kind of things. He's curating iMyth Festival, which is
Mm-hmm.
Quicksand Studios Media Arts Festival in Bombay. So Strike is the main curator there for audio and visual art.
Okay.
He is creating a ground up um, concept called Apex and new audiovisual show called Apex for Magnetic Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to launch it there, and then that will come out. That will lead to a full length sort of new music content, basically
Okay.
music and visual content.
This is not exactly his original music album or anything. It's a
No,
project.
no, no. He's going to create music for the project, which will be released as an original piece of content. It could be an album, it could be an EP.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
working on
Interesting.
it as we speak, so we can't. I don't know much about
Of
it.
course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it's
uh,
going to be something cool. It sounds like that.
yeah. It's going to debut at Macfields at prime time, so it'll be interesting.
Nice.
And Surreal is next on the roster, who just released an album
Yeah.
and already has a lot of new collaborations ready. He's also got a new project called RDB, which
Mm-hmm.
is Real Dirty Beats, which is Surreal and Abhi. Do you know Abhi? Dirty Beats.
No. No.
So Abhi is a producer from Bombay. They've collaborated to uh, create this project called Real Dirty Beats, which is a beats project for hip hop artists.
Okay.
So they have collaborations already with
Nice.
uh,
So Surreal is also like he's dabbling in like bass music, desi bass, hip hop, everything.
yes.
Mostly, but like his sound and everything is more desi. Like
It's sort of the new album will tell you it's not really desi anymore. It's sort of a mix, crossbreed
right.
between desi bass, hip
Got a
hop.
bit of reggae also. I've heard
It's
the
got
new
a
album now.
yeah. It's got a bit of reggae, and the new album Visa on Arrival are his influences from around the world. So that's why it's called Visa on Arrival.
Nice.
There's some interesting collaborations there. My favorite, personal favorite, is the one with Delhi Sultan. It's called Shota. So
Tota, yeah, actually, I even I really love that song. Like, I just heard the album once,
yeah,
quickly, and that song stood out to me as well.
exactly. Me too. And,
Nice.
and the last audio artist on the roster is Vinayaka, who's actually
He
the
hasn't released in a while, right?
he hasn't
Actually.
released in a while, but he's got an interesting collaboration coming out with the maestro Talveen Singh.
Oh, wow, man,
So Talveen Singh and Vinayaka actually played a show together in London at London
I
Vera,
remember that. Yeah, I think I remember
and
that.
Talveen I mean, both of them hit it off, and they are making an album together.
Hmm.
I'm dying for previews. I haven't got any.
The whole album is a collab album, basically.
Yeah, it's Talveen and Vinayaka,
Uh-huh.
and they're also working on a live show
Hmm.
as we speak. So I don't have more info on this, nor are they sending me previews.
Okay,
So I'm waiting.
it's all cooking right now.
It's all cooking. Exactly. So this is primarily what the roster is up to. Shit, that was a lot.
Man, yeah, that was a lot. This could have had its own episode, I think.
Yeah. It's good to like talk about what's happening. I never do.
Yeah, and I think even I didn't know you had so many artists on your roster. I just knew that this guy's up to this and he's doing that. So it just now feels like okay, Unmute is like doing a lot of work currently with a lot of different artists.
Yeah, people think we don't because we don't do international tours. We're not doing any work. So
Yeah, because I mean, I think even I was thinking since the last few years, wherever I've worked with you and all, I've just seen you with Arjun, and I've seen you at like techno gigs and all that. So perception wise, I was just thinking, okay, this is what Dave's up to, and
Well,
now it
it
seems like
looks like we are jobless, but
no. That's not what I
yeah.
meant. I was just like,
No,
it just
not
seems
you, not
like
you, but it's like general perception is, oh, ये लोग तो कुछ, they're done, they're not doing anything, they're sitting quietly. कुछ है ही नहीं.
no, man. I mean, I think there are always a few people who talk down on you or anyone else, but
हाँ, चलेगा, no issues.
and they like talking about those things, especially because they don't really know what's going on.
Man,
So
they don't need
haters,
to know. At the end of the day, when an album comes out, is charting on number 3 on Apple Music Electronica charts, then I mean they can keep talking, but we're still here. So yeah. So I mean, eventually, good work comes up and shit goes down the fucking drain, right? Like that's how it is. So
yeah, for sure. And I
uh,
know you always you believe in doing the work and uh, you know the rewards. Like, I mean, the success will speak for itself, and I know that you don't care about all that. You
I'll
care.
give you a small example. You worked with me on one show in Bombay where Arjun was playing,
Yeah,
and I remember we had a heated argument about lighting.
yeah.
I don't forget these things because for me,
Even I don't.
the attention to detail is fucking important.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a show, whether it's for 100 people, 50 people, or 500
Hmm.
people in a fucking bar in Bombay,
Hmm.
I need that show to be world class.
Yeah.
Whoever
I
is whoever is involved in it, whether it's my friends or not, if
yeah
if we are not getting what we want and what we agreed upon and what we set out to get
yeah.
in terms of quality,
Hmm.
we should go out there and assure it, and that's exactly how my team is, which is why a lot of people hate us
Yeah,
because
no, actually, I did not see it that way. The thing is that in that argument, whatever happened, happened. But immediately, what I saw in that thing was that you know what I saw was that you care about the job that you're supposed to do. Your show, your artist, everything. You care about that, and that is why this happened. So I guess we're on record. So I'll just say that there was nothing that I took offense to, but it just showed me how dedicated you are to what you do.
that's
And
great. See, I'll tell you what, a lot of people take offense with this. Like, there are some, uh, everyone working in music is our friend, right? Because eventually a lot of people working in the scene we've hung out, we've done things, blah, blah, blah. So, but when it comes down to business, we see it as pure work.
yeah,
So,
it's supposed to be that, and
yeah,
I was actually about to ask you this thing specifically that sorry, that you are an artist manager where you are working constantly with creative people, but at the same time you're running Unmute, which is a company, so it needs to be run like a business. So you're wearing two hats, and you for you the challenge is to sort of balance between those two and do justice to each of them.
yeah, it's tough.
So
Uh,
when you're managing Arjun, trying to get him gigs and everything, you think about him in the creative way. But when you're in the show on the stage and making sure the lights or the sound and everything is fine, you're also thinking of it as a businessman because you want to put up a great show and thereby build your reputation for being spot on with all your responsibilities and giving a good show.
yeah. So currently, I mean, you mentioned that you said that I manage Arjun. So actually, how we work at Unmute is that Ayush is the head of artist management.
Okay.
Ayush Arora is the head of artist management. So he's primarily everyone's manager.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, and we have a few booking agents and we have a tour manager. So that's how the team is.
Yeah. I
And
don't think we discussed the hierarchy in the
there's
agency yet.
it's not a hierarchy. It's a division of work because we have a small
Right.
team.
Right.
It's not to be looked at as a hierarchy.
Okay.
Primarily, my job is to run the business
Right.
and pitch in wherever I can with managing artists. Now, Arjun is a unique case because I sort of been with him for the last 12, 15 years.
Hmm.
So that sort of course, I'm involved.
Yeah.
Whatever, whatever the hierarchy or whatever you want to call it, I'm involved with Arjun with whatever he does.
Hmm.
On a personal level, it's more than work. So it's so
Yeah.
that way. And for example, with all the artists I mentioned, the reason that I know what they're doing is because I'm involved with them in bits and pieces in how much ever time I can give in 24 hours.
Yeah.
So I have to be involved because I want to be able to use whatever experience network I might have individually, personally for them.
Yeah.
Of course, the agency has its uh, tools and network and blah blah blah, and Ayush has his own. But of course, I have to be involved with every little thing. So,
Yeah.
but
It's great actually that you do want to personally get involved in these little details because Sometimes
I'll give you a
like
small example, like sick flip,
mm,
right? I
mm,
wasn't involved with sick flip until I heard the banging tracks.
okay, okay,
As soon as I heard the tracks,
hmm,
I called him and I said, "Hi, let's work together on this." So, uh, so the thing is, eventually we are all people, right? We can only do so much.
yeah,
So, but if there is an exceptional case, now I'm in a unique situation where I have multiple exceptional cases, so I'm stuck.
mm, yeah,
So
yeah,
then I have to have a strong team.
yeah,
But the fact is that if I see a situation where, okay, this is this is based on what we were made unmute about. When we started unmute, we thought about these things. Okay, great music, great performance, blah blah blah.
mm,
Guys ready. Then we get involved. Even Arjun
mm,
gets involved. Even Arjun gets involved where he needs to be.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's the creative side of things, and running the business. That's a whole new uh, uh, ball game. I'm not
yeah,
a graduate. I haven't finished a degree.
hmm,
I was a
okay,
college dropout. I had to leave college because I lost a parent very early in life,
right,
and so I had to work at a very young age.
yeah.
So during doing all those odd jobs, I worked as an accountant. I worked as an HR in some random company before my radio job.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think if I read your LinkedIn profile right, you also worked at McDonald's.
that was my first job in college. Yeah, in
Right. Yeah.
McDonald's.
Nice.
So I've done
Like
all
picked up
bits.
from the ground up.
Yeah, I've done everything bits and pieces. Like worked my way up in life, and during all those jobs, I believe that there's no job. A lot of kids nowadays complain about being in shitty jobs.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think there is any job which doesn't teach you something. If you don't take something out of it, then you're an idiot.
Yeah. I think that's the very radical problem with a lot of people that it's difficult for them to sort of learn from hard situations, which I think is the essence for anyone who wants to be successful.
100%. And so I use all the experience I've had in my previous jobs to run this business. So whether it be accounts, like I'm not a accounting graduate or any of that,
Hmm.
and but I've learned on the way. I mean, when I started Unmute, I did not know anything about taxation or any of that.
Yeah.
So you have to learn it. If you're pushed against the wall, you have no other way than going forward, right? Like I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's the approach. And I still don't consider myself as a great businessman,
Hmm.
uh, but I'm learning. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get there, and I'm surrounded by good people. And that's, by the way, that's one of the things we work with the artists on as well,
Hmm.
like financial management, like
Yeah.
ensuring your taxation is organized, ensuring your accounts is organized, ensuring your. So
Yeah.
we do that as well. People don't see
Yeah,
this work.
that's amazing because actually, in the taxes department, with regards to music, I mean, artists performing shows and all, there are some small details that artists will not bother to check, but as an agency, you will help them with all that.
100%. I mean, that's the basics. I mean, it's something I learned with Jalebi. We did not take care of those things in the beginning, and we struggled because everyone had to pay a big amount of tax because one year we didn't take care of it.
Yeah.
And
And
since then,
even I also covered in my previous episode the importance of managing your own finances when you're starting out,
yeah,
and when you do not have the ability to hire a business manager or an artist manager or whatever. There are these basic things like starting your account, managing your taxes and everything, which bookkeeping basically you need to take care of since the beginning only, so that whenever you do get an artist agent and all, you don't have to set it up at that point. You
I think
have
the
these things in
yeah,
place.
no, I think the most important and the most important thing you could do for yourself, and it'll help you in the future, is like before you need an agent, you need a CA.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
if you
spoke, I spoke about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you sort yourself out with a good CA, and I realized this the hard way, to be honest. When I started Unmute,
Mhm.
I screwed up in the beginning. Signed with an accountant who was really cheap
Yeah.
because I didn't want to spend money and I didn't have the
Yeah.
money to spend it. So in the first 2 3 years, I was with an accountant who was really cheap, but who said I can do your taxation and everything.
Yeah.
And by
Yeah.
the end of it, 3 years later, I realized he fucked us. 2 years actually into it, and
Yeah.
then that's when I went to a professional CA
Yeah.
and I paid him what he asked for, and it
Yeah.
was a lot of money. It
You
was like a
kind of
salary. It is like a
mm,
salary,
yeah.
but my life has been at peace since
For
then.
sure, man. You need a guy who sort of specializes in probably accounts related to music or entertainment for that
Exactly.
matter,
So
especially if you're running.
RCA wasn't, and luckily he was a young, open-minded guy. So we sat him down and sat with him over one. He's been with me since 2014,
Hmm.
And since over the last 5 years, we sat and understood the industry. He's studied competitors. He studied successful companies in our industry and
Right.
understand how it works. And now currently, because of his association with us, he's actually
Hmm.
managing finances of a lot of companies. A lot of You'll be surprised. So
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't want to name them, but he is managing a lot of artists, a lot of companies. Uh,
And that's important. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
everyone should make sure they, at least these companies like you, have to have someone solid who can handle these things.
yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the most. Uh, it's the best
Because
thing
at
you
the
could
end
do
of
for
all that
yourself.
money, if you're even making a lot of money as an artist or as an agency, you have to make sure that the money is managed well. Otherwise, it's easy to lose that money as quickly as it came.
Absolutely, and at least the CA will give you things like investment ideas, and he'll
Yeah,
help you save your
exactly.
money. He will ensure you pay your tax, so you're not paying fines because you haven't paid taxes on time. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah,
paid a lot of fines in my life, and I struggled, and I'm so sad about losing all that money. So it goes into lakhs, and
yeah.
you could do so much with that. So, as an artist, it is even more critical. So, yeah,
Sure. So, I guess we are almost nearing the end, and I just have like one last question regarding artist management is what advice can you give to people who might be interested in an artist management career or some upcoming artist managers who probably approach you and ask you what's the right way to
man,
do this?
we need people who want to work in artist management. I don't think people want to do that. I think people want to use that and become DJs.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what there is no. I
So
mean,
do you get any emails from aspiring artist managers?
yes, lot.
Genuine one?
Not emails. Nowadays, I'm getting DMs. I want to work with you. Those are the DMs we
Right.
get.
Huh.
But I don't know if that's the right approach. I think what's really important is okay. If you want to be an artist manager and you're from Bangalore, for example,
Hmm.
start with going to your local gigs. Start
Hmm.
with seeing what the scene is in your city. Start with understanding what your local industry is. Who are the guys? Who are the players? Who are the bookers? Who are the cool artists you want to work with? Like if
Right.
I'm, for example, when I was no, I'm not the right example, but um,
Someone
i-
from your
for
agency?
example, if today I was 20 years old, 22 years old, and I wanted to be an artist manager, and if I
Mhm.
lived in Delhi,
Mhm.
my approach would be, uh, oh, okay, no, having all this experience later, my approach would be that okay, I go to all the shows that happen in the city and the kind of music I like, whether it's Punjabi, whether it's Bollywood, whether it's house, whether it's techno, whether it's electronic music, whatever it
Yeah.
might be,
Yeah.
whichever scene, okay, let's say X scene.
Hmm.
If I like, say, house music, so then I go to the house music gigs and see who are the guys playing this, who are the guys drawing the crowds, who are the
Yeah.
artists in Delhi, who are the artists
Hmm.
who are approachable, who
Hmm.
don't have an agent. What can I do for them? Okay, if a successful agent artist has an agent, what is the agent doing for them? List
Yeah.
those things down. See if I can do those things.
Yeah.
Understand what goes into it, and then start approaching these artists and start working with them in your own city. Become a success of that, and that's when you'll get a job in a.
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't think maybe direct if you're not related to the artist as a friend or a family, approaching them saying that, hey, I want to manage you. I don't think that would be the right move. You sort of
no, I disagree. I'm saying do your groundwork.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm saying understand what's required for you to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Uh, go approach the artist or whoever you want to approach by saying that, hey, listen, I have over the last few months I have done this research,
Hmm.
and I feel you could do with XYZ things I bring to the table.
Hmm.
How about we start a relationship? We start to see how it goes, and then we can work together.
Yeah.
And I would do, I mean, do your groundwork. If you're going to just rock up to a
Of
gig
course.
and
Yeah.
be like, I want to manage you,
Hmm.
on what basis? And
Exactly. How I don't even know you. Why should
yeah,
I trust you with my career?
yeah, and for all the DJs out there, if you're listening to me, it's been 1 hour, whatever minutes.
Yeah.
And please, joining an agency as a manager is not the shortcut. Please don't do that. It's really shitty. It's a really shitty approach. And
Yeah.
whenever Unmute puts out job posts, our first thing is we're not looking for DJs. So please don't apply if you're a DJ. And that's primarily 80% of the applications we get. In their CV, it says house music DJ or techno DJ or bass DJ or blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
Aspiring to make it in the music scene. But if you're going to use me as a stepping stone, fuck off.
I think we've got a long list of things not to do when it comes to being an artist and an artist manager.
I mean, Yes, there are. If you got the basics right, then we are fine, man. I mean, we'll find.
Yeah, and
Eventually,
I
my
think if you
eventually
don't,
unmute, and my personal goal in life is, but before I die, I want to be able to export Indian artists the way we fucking import artists. That's it.
yeah, yeah, like these somehow that perception of uh, international artists being better, bigger, and all that than Indian artists is it's about time that changes. And you guys are one of the main guys who can make that happen. One of the main agencies through which this can happen.
Yeah, but it has to start at home. I mean, one of the things I really want to point out, and maybe we should end with this so that I can go into rant mode, is
Hmm.
that all the festivals and the promoters and the bookers, please respect your local artists. And just
Yeah,
because a person is local artist does not mean they're not a successful local artist. So
yeah,
if a white guy is booked and you have an Indian guy who pulls more a bigger crowd or has a bigger profile, then that Indian guy deserves the main
he
slot.
deserves as much respect, if not more.
Yeah, and we fight. The one of the things we do in a very conscious way is fight for with festivals for slots, for the right
Yeah,
slots and the right billing for artists. Just because a guy is white doesn't mean he has to be in a bigger font.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
the response we get almost all the time. Oh, he's come from blah blah blah, so he needs to be this. I'm like, hold on, you book my artist because he sells tickets, because he has a profile, because people are
yeah,
listening to him.
yeah,
And if you're not interested, then we have withdrawn from a lot of festivals and gigs
yeah. I
in this
know.
manner.
Mm, mm,
And it doesn't make sense, man. I mean, we put all our ass on the line and we build the scene, and then you're gonna book
yeah.
one dude, pay him 5,000 euros, and give him the main slot. Come on.
Yeah, man, it's a hard struggle. Like, firstly, you have to work so hard so that the artists get shows or something, and then you have to deal with these promoters or bookers who do not give you your dues when you worked so hard for them. And
Exactly.
it's like a struggle from both sides, and something needs to give in from both sides as well. That
I mean, it's funny that I have to keep reminding festivals that
yeah,
if you're booking
and not
my
just festivals. I think.
if you're booking a top line artist from my agency,
Hmm,
he is a top line Indian artist.
hmm,
He or she is a top line Indian artist, right? So you're booking
yeah,
them because of who they are. So if you're gonna book
yeah.
them and give them a 4 p.m. slot, I'm not keen.
And not just about slots, man. I think even when it comes to payments, the amount of fees, the timing, the delays in paying the fees, there's a
Exactly.
lot.
If they want to negotiate for 10 or 15,000 with the Indian guy, I'm sure they won't be negotiating in euros with the agents outside because the outside agents don't give a shit. They look at India as a cash cow.
Yeah.
The fact that the moment when local bookers will unite and realize that we've been taken for a ride is
Hmm,
when things will change. There's a reason why Anvir doesn't get into the booking war of
hmm.
the arms race of booking the next big techno thing or next big
Yeah.
electronic artist for the country.
You're focused on the local talent.
Yeah, we are focusing on Indian talent and we don't want to unnecessarily pay out of our nose and not make money just because of ego.
Yeah, and
So,
it's not like the talent out there is like phenomenally higher than what we have here now. Now the level.
I mean, look at it black and white. You're paying a guy to come and play on USB sticks in a business class flight
Yeah,
and getting 500 people, whereas on the weekend before that, your guy from Gurgaon got 500 people.
yeah. And then you're
So
paying for hotels and visas of that guy as well,
yeah,
which
I'm not against booking interesting artists. I love a lot of artists outside India. It's not
yeah,
like I don't love them. It's not like I'm the only say make in India or any of that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
hmm,
balance it out. Be fair in your
balance,
judgment.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just sort of do justice to Indian acts equally as you do with the other
Pay
ones.
respect if someone has worked their way up. Simple.
Exactly, yeah, and not
Yeah.
just festivals, even venues. I think, but venues I think are starting to realize that
A lot of
because
venues are, of course, a
yeah,
lot of venues are, and
a lot of events are happening regularly at venues as compared to the festivals that
yeah,
happen.
for sure, for sure. So it's a good time actually to be an artist. It's a great time to be an artist actually, and if you got the basics covered and listen to the last one, I think you should be pretty sorted.
Awesome, man. This is
Yeah.
this is a very enlightening episode for artists as well as artist manager, and I'm glad, man, that we had this conversation, man.
And if me too, and if anyone wants to apply as an artist manager and you're not a DJ, please send your email. Please send an email to team at
Awesome.
unmute.in.
I'm gonna put down all the details of Dev Bhatia, and maybe I should make a list of the things that you mentioned. not to do for
Can we?
everyone.
Yeah, sure. I'd use it too.
First, I'll put the list and then I'll put the email so that there's no confusion.
I'm going to get a lot of hate also, but it's fine.
You're used to it, man. I think you can handle it now.
I can handle it. It's all good.
Awesome, man. So, yeah, I guess that's it. We have had a great conversation on this episode with Dave, and lots of wisdom has been imparted.
Thank you for having me, guys, and keep doing your good work. Shout out
Awesome.
to Box Out FM.
Superb. Cheers, man. See
Cheers.
you.
Bye.
Bye. That was not a conversation. What I had in the last episode with Tej was a conversation. This was like 3 conversations. So, anyway, I really hope some of you made it this far because that was such a great chat with Dave. I couldn't believe we spoke so much, had constructive discussions, shared experiences, talked about some amazing music that's going to be released soon. And I just once again want to congratulate Dave for becoming a father. This kid is going to grow up listening to some amazing fucking music. Anyway, it's time to wrap up. It's been a long ride today. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, then please let me know. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, you might want to email Dave if you're a DJ and you're looking for gigs. See ya.